Hello. You're muted, Nico. Classic rookie mistake.
All right, it's summer. It's the first in a long time. Sorry about that. How are you, Liz?
Good. I don't have a Hawaiian shirt. I tried to find one, but I am sitting, well, you can't see it now, but in trees. It's not trees
It,
here, but it would be really windy if I sat in the trees. So I'm trying to be
it,
tropical.
you're outside. I guess that's what matters. It's the summer here in the US and on the northern hemisphere. I guess it's winter in other places in the world. Hopefully, it's not too cold where you are. But thanks for joining us for this special edition of our office hours. This is the time really where we get to dig more into Typeform product, look at the different things that were launched since the last time we talked. I think that was probably a month and a half ago. And answer any question that you may have regarding building stuff, breaking the product, really come up with your own crazy use cases. Let us know from where you're watching this. And yeah, happy to be here again.
I say, of course, we have Des from the Igloo.
Yeah, Igloo in Ottawa, Canada. I don't know what is the temperature there. I'll say I'm in San Francisco right now. It's a sunny day, but it's never really too warm in San Francisco over the summer. We have our own microclimate. It gets very foggy. So if you're planning to spend holidays in California and you expect to surf on the nice beaches and stuff like this is not happening in San Francisco. Just be ready when it gets cold.
Oh my God, 39.
39 degrees Celsius. I'll let you do the math on the Fahrenheit. That's still something I'm not comfortable with. And then we get Gabby joining from Italy as well. Cool. So we're trying something else also. What's new for this episode is we're trying to do that a bit later in the day. See if that works better for other folks in other places in the world. See if we get more views. If we can invite more people later. That's why also we don't have James with us today because it's quite late for him in Barcelona. Thanks for the 103 in Fahrenheit. So let's get started. Really, what's new? What are the new cool things, and what do we want to demonstrate?
Well, my favorite one is Google Forms and Google Docs Importer, which people have been asking about for a while now. I don't know how long, but a very long time. And it makes it way easier to import your forms from other services.
Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'll show you where you find it in the product. But really, the idea is like try to make it simpler for you to transition from an existing tool. In this case, if you already have a Google form or if you're a Google Doc where you already plan the way you want to ask questions, if you already worked with your team, we want to look into this. And so when I click on a button, now you should be able to create a form. Should we look into that directly?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes, because it's my favorite one. It's also super easy to use, so I like it.
So here it's your Typeform interface that you're really familiar with already. And this new experience starts when you decide to create a new form. So you will click here on this big new Typeform button. And here you should see on the top. So here you usually have all the templates. This is where you find inspiration. So you can search for feedback, and you see that we have a bunch of different type of forms where you can test this out. But that works great if you start really from scratch or if you need inspiration with a template. But if you come and you already have an existing form that you want to import, then now on the top here, there's an import form. It's quite subtle, so you may not have seen it, but now this is pointers and be like, haha, there's a new button here, take a look. And so when you click on this thing, we bring you with a new interface that offers you two different options. One is to import form from a Google Doc, and the other one is to import it from a Google form. I think we'll start with the Google form importing because it's, I think, the most straightforward thing. I have, as an example here, office hours feedback. I have a really simple. Yeah, I have a simple form here on my Google account where I'm curious to see how people are gonna what they like about this event, if there's any feedback that they have for us. And until very recently, it was on a Google form, and I think now is the time to move it to a Typeform, isn't it? So how we do this, now that you have this opportunity, you select the Google Form Importer, and you will have to authenticate into your Google account. So we have access to your Google account, and we find the right documents and the right forms. So now this app has access to my Google account, and you can look for all different forms I have in my account. This is my @typeform.com account, so it makes sense that I don't have a lot of Google Forms in that account because this is my company account, so I shouldn't really use it. But I have this example that I showed you earlier, so I can just select it. Here you get to give a name to your Typeform. I think I'll just keep it what it was on Google Form, and then just create the form. It'll do a bit of magic, and when this is over,
the suspense builds.
Puff, puff, puff. Now, I get redirected automatically. I don't have to click anywhere else. Now, all my questions are already here. And it works with all types of questions. You see, I thought that the metrics will be hard to import, but actually it's there. So it works with metrics. It works with short text answers. And just like this, you saved yourself a good hour of work, a good half hour of coming again with another plan of what should I put in this form. And now you're done, you can just do publish. And now that's a form that I can share. It has everything that I had on my Google form. The thing that it doesn't do yet, it's everything around the formatting. So you see that this is a very simple template, but we didn't want to take any shortcuts on what is supposed to look like. But this is your opportunity to customize it, really. And I think this is the most fun part. Building the form is not fun. It could be a bit boring to come up with all those questions. But making it look cool, this is the really fun part. And so here you get to take advantage of the whole Typeform platform and the Typeform product to change your font, change the colors, put images, make it yours, really. And so if you go full cycle on this, usually when you create a Google form, it gets connected to a Google spreadsheet. And this is where all the data is dumped usually when people answer it. Obviously, this is something that we had in the past, but this is also something you can do now. Still, you will just have to go do the connection, and we'll post every new response you have on your form to the Google Sheet. And like this, the data is there, and you get to do whatever you want to do with it. So this is a really cool, neat feature. Again, this is an opportunity that you have when you create a new form. This is where you get prompted to import with an existing form. Any other things that we should mention around this, Liz?
I don't know if it's so simple that I feel like you don't have to mention that much, which is nice. Saying a lot.
Exactly. So we just wait for you to test it out. Tell us if there are things that are not working, if you have complex forms, if we should import more of the features that you have on your form. We'll be happy to look into this and look at all the different use cases you may have. While we're demonstrating this, I think we have 2 new joiners in the chat. I see Amy that is joining from Barcelona, and Marty is pretty excited about the import form. So thanks for joining. So let me show you the other part, and I think this is where it gets really interesting in terms of collaboration and how you work with your team. So we'll do something similar. When I create a new form, we saw on the top import form, there's also the option to import from a Google Doc. And the reason we did this is turns out that a lot of people are actually starting from a Google Doc to have a conversation with the rest of the team on what should we put in that form. What are the questions we should ask to our folks? What is the right formulation? Is this supposed to be a multiple choice? What should be the choices in the multiple choice? So people don't just get started right away with a form. And one of the things they do is using a Google form to have this conversation. And so this is why we wanted to offer a way to import that form. And to guide you in that experience, because we all have different ways of writing a Google Doc, and it could be really, can vary from different type of people. We made a template, so it's easier for you to follow the standards and easier for you also to have that conversation. So let's get started with this. So here, we give you a template with some instructions on how to do it. And I think for the purpose of this demo, we're just going to follow the instructions, right?
Yes, they make it very easy in the template.
Yes, so the first thing to do is to make a copy. So I'll do that. I'll do copy. Let's say this. And I want to invite you, Liz, because this is all about collaboration, right?
Yes, always.
So we're going to be the two of us editing this document right now. And we're going to edit the question. So here it tells you, next instruction, use the template on page 2 to write the questions. Page 2. There's already a template with a bunch of things here. Okay. And you see that basically a question is a new line that has a number. And for each question, we specify the type before we ask this question. So you see here, we have a welcome screen, multiple choice, short text. Like it supports all types of questions, and it's just a way to mark what is the question type, and then we'll be able to import this. Every question must start with the questions type in brackets, multiple choices, drop down and ranking questions. You'd use indentation and lettered bullet or list. And so this is what we see on that side. And what else do we need? Opinion scale. Oh yeah, opinion scale, you get to put another parameter to know how much, like what is the range. And this is more, again, similar to what we had earlier. This is really on the structure of the form, the different questions you ask, not really on the look and feel. Because I guess at this point, when you're talking with your team, you're really into, what's going to be the structure and how you want people to use this. So what should we do with this form? Should we just import it like this to give it a try? And then we can do some modification?
I say we go for it.
So yeah, I guess there's a lot of different questions here. It doesn't really make sense as a whole or it's just a way to know you better, right? We want to know your favorite animal. We want to know if you like pizza. We want to like broccoli on pizza, maybe your birthday, like a bunch of different questions.
Pineapple on pizza?
No, this is very controversial. I guess
broccoli.
No. Broccoli, I think everybody agrees that it shouldn't be on pizza, but pineapple, there's a huge debate. Is that why? No, pizza are kind of an open canvas for food. But let's import this form right now. So now that we've created this template, we haven't personalized it yet, but I would like to show you. Here, let me change it so it could be to my awesome Typeform. So just my Typeform. And so we go to the next phase. We go back to Typeform. We authenticate into our Typeform account, similar to what we did earlier. We get to pick and let the application access our account. And now we have to import that doc. So how was this called? It's called copy. Okay. So it gets all my different forms, and I can also search directly. So this one was called copy of Google Importer. I'm not very original. I'll keep the same name, but here you can personalize it and put the name you want. And then this is really all you have to do. And when you're done, you click Create Form, and it's already there. It was faster than the previous one. I get redirected automatically to the builder, and here you can see all the questions that were there in my documents are here, and even the modification that I did, and the modification was a really slight modification, switching from welcome to my Typeform to welcome to my awesome Typeform. And here, Liz, How much time do you think we saved doing this?
Hours, maybe like 2, maybe 3. Depends on how slow of a typer you are.
Exactly, and the best again here. I mean, you get to play with everything around collaboration on this type of tools, but I guess if you wanted to modify it, you all come up with a comment. I'll be, hey Liz, should we add snakes? And because people do like snakes, should that be part of the list of the favorite animals? And I guess this is your opportunity to discuss on, yeah, snakes, it's a valid option. A lot of our customers have snakes as pet animals, and we'll add this. Similar for food. I think you added, did you added something?
No,
Or
because you said it was controversial, so.
And so let's say what add controversy to the thing.
Add drama.
Should we? You know what we should do? We should exactly do this. Let's add a question. So we're gonna ask a yes/no question. Should pineapple be allowed? That's already kind of biased, right? If I say be allowed, should pineapple be
On pizza.
should be on pizza? Exactly. And here I just used the yes and no question, but that could also be if you think people should contribute a whole essay about should it be or shouldn't it be, you can turn that into a long text.
Like should be or what is that phrase? That should be or to be or not to be.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
I mean, we're about to go back to school now, university. I think there should be a valid essay on rhetoric and how to make your case, right, on being on one side or the other side. It's a good exercise, but we'll keep it for a yes and no right now. I don't have to save because it saves automatically. And if I wanted to now use this updated form, I'll have to start over. Because there is no binding between that document that form that was created and the document, so I will have to start over. So if you're unsure on the formulation of the questions, the different options, I'll say it's recommended that you have this discussion before importing it, because then otherwise you'll have to start again. So we'll just go quickly to the same stuff. We import the same document, and this one now is like. We'll call it the pizza, the pineapple. Okay. It has a new question. Ooh, Oh yes. Good point. It shouldn't contain comments. So I think if we resolve this, will it go away? And short property. What is your name? What is your name? Oh. What did we do wrong? Should pineapple be on pizza? It's a yes/no question. I think that was it, right? All right, let's try again. Hup. Boom. Okay, that worked. And so if there's something that is not working, we'll tell you exactly what you've done. And for example, here, it was just resolving the comments and say, okay, we're done with this conversation. Pineapple should be a question we ask our folks. And snakes is a valid pet animal as well. And now if we look at this, now we have this question. Should pineapple be on pizza? Ta-da! All right, so that was two of the awesome new features that let you import an existing form from another platform. We have a similar functionality, but it leads more into the other apps. So if you have an Airtable and you have a structure that's already an Airtable, you can do that as well, but that's an app that you install from Airtable. And we have a similar thing if you have a Monday table as well that will let you create a form from a Monday table. So now we're covering 4 different ways of importing a form. If there is something else that you use to have discussions about your forms. If you have forms on other tools, please let us know, and we'll look at what is possible so we can import your forms easily and convert them into beautiful type forms. So is anything we should mention about those two awesome new features?
I can't think of anything else. I don't know if I should be thinking of something else.
I don't think so.
Should I be?
I think we, like, again, as you said earlier, the feature is quite simple, is straightforward, and at the end you get a beautiful form. That there's magic behind this, but I don't think we can really dive into the magic of how that works. But yeah,
give it hours.
Yeah, give it a try. Let us know how that works for you, and yeah, I'll say shout out to the team for building this. All right, what's next? What do you think we should mention again?
Well, it was kind of a quiet release, but released the integration with Microsoft Teams. So kind of like with Slack, how you can update your team when a response comes in. Same with Microsoft.
Yes, and I have one issue with this, is I don't have a Teams account, and I couldn't find one.
Me neither.
But I can show you where to find this. And so if you're not familiar with Teams, is a way to collaborate in real-time messages in your company, in your school. I've seen a lot of students taking classes through this. They have a video. So you can do like video chat, room, classes, sharing your screen, like everything around this. And as people are using Teams to collaborate, they want to be aware when there's a new response that comes into their form. So they want to be notified every time there's a new submission into the form. And it makes sense, because like if you're using Typeform as a way to retrieve leads, and you want to know when someone is like contacted you, you want to act really fast on it and ping who is the right person in the team to do that. And now, where are you going to find this? So this is the form we created earlier. We can use it as an example. In the gears here, you have the notifications. And notifications are a way for you to be notified. Oh, that's quite obvious. Good job, Nico. To know when something happens on your form. And you have two options. It could be for you as the owner of the form, or for the respondent. So if you ask for an email question in your form, you can tell the respondent that you have received their ticket, their request, whatever. And so before it was just emails, email to you, email to the respondent, and the Slack thing was a bit hidden. But now what we added is Microsoft Teams. And so this is where you find it. It's not in the Connect panel anymore. So we're trying to disperse a bit the applications where you actually need them. And the only thing I can show you is the different steps, because I can't really have a demo account right now. But similar to other apps and how that works for you, you get to authorize your Typeform account, authorize your Microsoft Team account, get to pick which team do you want to connect with Typeform if you have multiple teams. And then in which channels should we send a notification? You have many channels in your company. One could be about for the sales team. One could be for support tickets. You get to pick where you send it. And then you get to pick also the questions, because you may have, look at the form that I have created. I have so many different questions, and I don't need to have all those questions in the notification, because that becomes a really long message in my chat. So instead, what's possible to do would be a way to pick. I was like, oh, we're interested by the company name, and we're interested maybe by their budget. So we can prioritize, and then we can assign different people to it when it comes to the chat. So this is new. Hope you get to use it if you're using Microsoft Teams. Again, let us know what you're missing and what's not working for you. Yeah? What do you think?
It's a good one for the people that have been using Microsoft and have felt left out.
Exactly. Yeah, we heard a lot of people were using it. It was just a matter of time until we are able to build it, but this is now reality. Yep. So in the meantime, as we were talking about notifications, I see we have a request from Henry, and this is also the space to ask questions about specific feature. Do you see it, Liz?
Yes. The question is there a setting in Typeform that enables submissions to be deleted after a specific amount of time? No, unfortunately, not within the builder, but I think you could probably try to set this up with the APIs using your own kind of workaround, if I'm correct.
Yes, exactly. So if you go to your form, the responses are stored on Typeform for as long as you want them to be. And then you get to decide if you individually want to delete those responses from the interface that we have for you. So let me get rid of all those things so I can show you. Up, here. And hop. So if we go, and I will pick a form that has a bit more answers. If we go to so let's go to responses here. All right. So if I want it here individually, I can go and delete each response, or I can delete them all in bulk at once and be like, okay, I'd get rid of all the responses. But this is a manual process. If you wanted to do this until we have it in the product, I'd be like, okay, delete all the responses after a week, after 30 days. You will have to go through the API, and the API provides you, and we are going to developer.typeform.com, provides you a response API where you can retrieve all the responses, but this is to read. And there's also a delete endpoint. So you can call that API endpoint to delete all the responses. And I think in the community forum, we had a similar question recently on how to do this using Integromat or Zapier. I forgot.
I'm going to find it because I also forgot. So.
Yes, so I will say this is a workaround we have right now. And through this endpoint that I'm showing right now, you can delete responses in batches of 1,000. And so you can imagine a workflow. We're talking about Integromat or Zapier, which are two awesome workflow apps to do stuff without code. But if you want to code it yourself, I guess you can do the script. But the first step will be retrieve all the responses, and you get to pick, do I want to retrieve all the responses from last week, from 30 days, all the responses that mention something? Like, you get to make a filter about this, and then go through that list and delete all of them. This is probably how we approach this. So thank you, Henry, for your question. And if you have questions on like how to actually do it, and if you see some blockers, I'll say the community forum is the right place to ask for help, and then we can deep dive into how to do it.
I have not found the post, but if I find it later, I will put it in our recap here because I am terrible with search terms. So I'm probably just searching the wrong thing.
No, and also it's also the community. The community is growing, and there are topics about a lot of different things, and they change all the time. I feel I've seen it, but maybe it's
I
there.
know. I feel like I can see it in my head, but I cannot remember what it was titled.
Cool. Well, hopefully Henry has some hints on how to get started. In terms of what's new, what are the other cool things that happened recently?
Well, we've got a bunch of security stuff, but they're very detailed that I don't know if I could ever explain the full extent of them. But beyond security things, another big one is finally admin roles, which people have been asking for since like the dawn of time.
Yeah, could you tell us a bit more about it? What is admin roles?
Yes, so finally now it is possible for people that are like shared in work or like shared, I can speak today, people that are invited to workspaces to have different roles as far as like account levels. So who can see, for example, like who can change the URL in a workspace, or who can see billing details, or who can remove team members, etc. Before it was just only the account owner could do everything, and then nobody could do anything else like that, like changing the URL.
Yeah, and that's good again for collaboration. And if you wanted to share with your colleagues, with your partners, the agents, the clients that you're working with, you get to you get to pick who gets to see what and who can mess around, because it's easy to invite people to your forums, and suddenly someone did a change. You're like, oh, that broke everything else. That broke the integration we had. That broke the reporting we had, and you don't want this to happen when it is just someone that might be interested by the results. So is this already available to everybody, or are we
Yes.
just?
Well, if you're sharing your workspace, yes. If you're not, I mean, there's not much you can change. So.
Okay. So let me see if I can pull this up for you, so you get to look at it.
Let's say if you can't, I think I can, or I have a workspace that I started and then never did anything with, so I'm pretty sure I can share.
Yes. Would you mind? Because I was trying to look at my account and I couldn't find it, so I'll highly appreciate.
It's been a while since where did my tab go? Okay. There we go. Here's the share screen.
So while Liz is sharing her screen, I can try to entertain you with my summer dance.
It's clearly been a while since I've shared my screen. So if you're in your account under members, you'll see the members of your workspace here. And then from there, you can change admin or member. So admin has all the fancy stuff. Member does not have all the fancy stuff. But you do need to be on a plan, obviously, where you can invite members, which is the plus there above. So.
And I think I was not finding it because I was not looking in the right place.
You got to share a workspace.
No, I was looking at the workspace level, but I think it's by the team level. So for all your different teams, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so great. We heard all those folks that were trying to collaborate and wanted to put some intention on who can mess around and deal with stuff. This is great.
No more sharing logins.
Yeah, as well.
Finally.
That's more security for you as well, because you don't want your passwords to be hanging in different places and shared by others. I think it's easier to invite someone that have their own accounts to be part of a workspace, and they only have access to that workspace. So what you mentioned about the security, maybe you have the, as we can't go specifically into detail of what it all entails. Some are related to privacy, some are related to security of our infrastructure, and I think some might be related to data, right?
Yeah, HIPAA is a big one. Where I'm going to say the name wrong because I am familiar but unfamiliar with the terminology. But basically, we're HIPAA compliant, so that's exciting. So if you need BAA signed, we can do that. There's also like the full scope of everything that we're compliant with in the product roundup. I'll put a link to that in the chat. So.
Yeah, and so HIPAA specifically, I think it's on the way you handle data related to health records, right?
Yes.
Great. And so we have a special link I'll post it directly in the comments here. So you can check the whole thing in our forum, and you get the whole details of how we're compliant. This is also an important step for anybody that wants to do beyond just be like, hey, I'm organizing a party and I just want to know your options. If you're making a real business, it's great to know that your data is safe and that we are following high standards in security. We get also a question regarding workspaces, and I think I can demo this, where you can question about from cultural regarding if you can share only a specific workspace with someone and not all the workspaces. So let's check this out. This is exactly how I organize my account. I have, you can scroll for a bit, a bunch of different workspaces. And you can imagine that those workspaces are kind of a folder where you can sort and tidy a bit your main workspace. Well, you see I have a main workspace with 111 forms, and I should probably tie this up. But the idea is that, yeah, you organize your forms into folders for projects or for teams that you're working with, and you get to pick who you invite as a collaborator to that form. And so in July, like a month ago, we did a stream, for example, on Hack Together. So our coding stream was Joyce from Postman and a man from Notion. And so I created a workspace where we can collaborate and where we can modify the form together. And they only have access to this. They don't have access to the rest of my workspaces or the rest of my forms. The way you do this is on the top here of each workspace, you have a way to manage members, and you have a way to invite people and tell them and decide who gets invited to which workspace. And you, as the owner, you have the full control of removing people whenever you feel like, okay, the project is over, they've done their work with us, we don't need them to have access to this anymore. And if you want to do this as we saw earlier, then you get to pick granularly into your settings what role they have. But that's at an account level and not at a workspace level. Did I explain that right, Liz?
I would say so. Oui.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope I answered your question, Cultural. And yeah, let us know if it was not. I'm happy to look into this. So a bunch of things around integrations, a bunch of things around security, a bunch of things on collaboration. Do we have more? I mean, I know it could be Christmas in the summer, but there'll be
in July or whatever holiday you celebrate.
Yeah, lots of gifts.
Yes, the only thing I can think of is we're sunsetting the old builder, making way for the new. But I don't know if that's really a new thing. We've been introducing the new builder for a very long time, so we're just kind of finally saying adios to the old one.
And I guess all of our viewers, everybody that's watching right now, they're already familiar and they already moved to the new builder. I almost forgot we had an old version of it.
Me too.
It's been what, 6 months, probably a bit more than that. But yeah, good to know if you haven't made the switch. You'll do this. Good question from Des regarding the Facebook pixel. I know that has been a hot topic on the community forum. You probably have the latest news on where it is right now.
I think the latest news is they're still trying to work with Facebook on it, but I could totally be wrong. But I'll post the thread.
Yes. So for those of you who are not familiar with that subject, there's a new update of iOS that is around privacy and that is changing the way things are tracked. And because of this new update, the way Facebook is dealing with their Facebook pixel to track the ads, the conversions, and all that has changed. And so there's a new way to get your domains approved, and it's a bit more like there are more steps for you to do that. And so there's a whole thread on the forum for people that have been interested by that topic. And I think we have some solutions, but yeah, it's a work in progress. It's a new thing, and everybody's trying to figure out how to solve that. All right, so we have another 20 minutes to be together. So this is your space for questions. Things that you wanted to do as Typeform and you don't know how to do this, we can jump into this, hack it together, show it to you right now. But otherwise, we can look at some of the topics on the forum as well, things that you've seen recently, interesting use case questions that come often, things that surprised you or got you excited.
Fall sales, we had some pretty good webinars and things get released this month too. So if anyone has questions.
Yes, I forgot to mention, we did also 2 webinars, and Lisa's going to drop you the link, but we have some teasers for you. And so we did, could you tell us more about those webinars?
Yes, one of them was on writing surveys and how to, well, specifically not write bias surveys. I think that's how to say it, by Bellini Slushy, a very fun name for a company, very cute. So they had an awesome webinar on that. And then there was a Workspace Invaders that basically covered a very advanced use case. Basically, this whole company runs their company on Zapier and a bunch of different apps. I cannot properly describe it, but there is a link to how they do it. I'll get the links for those.
Yeah, we have a small clip that we can show you. That's a teaser about that.
We want to know the truth at the end of the day, because answers that will lead us down the wrong path could actually end up costing us money, could end up costing us time, and then end up, getting in trouble because somebody will say, well, you told me the survey results said XYZ, but really that's not what happened in real life. So how exactly do we not ask bias questions? How do we not lead people on?
And so this is part of a new series of videos that we have called Workspace Invaders. That's run by James and a bunch of other people in the company, where we get to sit with someone that's a practitioner, someone that is using all these type of different products at the same time, and explain us how to do this. What are the tricks, and what are their recommendations for others? Okay, sorry. I'm going through the comments. We have
pause for effect.
We have some other questions. So we have the first question we had is a question from Brett. Why do Excel and Google Sheets freak out when we change questions on a Typeform? Why? Do you have any? That sounds like a common problem.
Yes, it is a common problem. I do not know the exact technology behind it. That might be better explained by you, Nico, or maybe not. But essentially, it needs to be able to match exactly. So where it's sending data, it needs to keep sending data to the right spot. But if you change questions, depending on what you're changing in the question, it kind of throws off that mapping, essentially.
Yeah, so I think you can change, and I think the problem is also if you already have previous results. So if you start from scratch, it's never an issue. But because, for example, in a spreadsheet, in the Google spreadsheet, we use the wording of the question as a colon, we might not be able to find this colon again the next time we post an answer. And so that might be confusing. And so the best for this is actually to start over the whole integration process, and I think you will be good to go. And if not, again, we can look into details of what's going on, and maybe you found a bug that we're not. I hope not, but maybe that's what's happening. We also get a question from Annette on YouTube. Is there a way to add up the numbers of yeses and noes in the quiz of Typeform?
Use the calculator for that. Calculator, logics. We could demo it.
Yeah, I was about to offer you this. So
I'll grab a link to using calculator and logic in the meantime too.
Yes. So let's start with a form, and I assume you have a form that's a bunch of questions on yes and no's. So let's do this. So we're gonna change this first question to a yes, no. And so pineapple pineapple on pizza? Yes, no. What would be another thing? Rain boots in the summer. Oh, you want rain boots in the summer?
I noticed Annette also has another question. I don't know, Annette, if this is your second question is tied to the first one, because if so, then I have a different answer. But the second question is, or not question, but comment is, have Elise filled the quiz and base. Is this related to the yes and no's, Annette, if you're still there? So if so, it might be an outcome quiz or a personality quiz set up instead.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's show all the different options. So rain boots and summer. What would be another yes no question? Shoes. Shoes in the house. That's a real controversy. Do you take out your shoes when you enter, or you can be in the house with your shoes? Different rules in everybody's house. And so you have a bunch of yes and no questions, and at the end you want to know how many yeses and how many nos, right? So you can either show this at the end of the form, but here we're going to do this with a statement. So you take a break in form. So that's like this is the end of the first part of our quiz, and we're going to put the number of yes here and the number of no's here. And I guess your suggestion was to use calculation and logic to calculate two variables, right? And so if we go into the logic here, we're going to advance. We're going to create two variables, and we're going to name it one number of yes, and the second one would be number of no. They are a number variable. You can also have text, but we'll keep it as a number, and they start as a default value of 0. Okay, and so now in the logic, what we are going to do is, so that was the first question. If it's yes, then add to the number of yes, no, add a number, let's say 1, to the number of yes. And if it says no, we're going to add a number of no to the number of no's. And we're going to repeat this for every single question. So every time you answer one of those two questions, we either add 1 to the variable called number of yes or the variable called numbers of no's. And let me try to repeat this quickly. Add a number 1 to yes, and add that's when you say no, a number sorry, I just got a new mouse and I have to get used to it. Add a number 1 to the numbers of no's. Okay, then we're done. And then the last one, add a number 1 to yes, and add a number 1 to no's, and select here no's. Okay. It doesn't change anything on the map here because it's just one question after the other. And the last thing we need is to actually showcase the numbers, because right now here we didn't have anything. So here you can use @ as a shortcut to display either the answer to one of the questions or the variables. And so we're going to do number of yes here and numbers of no's. So now we're going to take that form and try to answer it with a yes here, a no here, and a yes here. And we should have 2 yeses and 1 no. So is that what you were trying to do? Please let us know. The other option that Liz was suggesting, could you tell us more about it?
Yes, there's an option called outcome, and depending on what you're trying to, like if you have more than yes and no's, or if you've got, you're trying to ask like, do you like beaches or the sand or the mountains? And then depending on what they answer for those questions have different different outcomes. That quiz makes it really easy to map without having to use variables. So depending on how many outcomes you have, how many questions you have, how many answer options you have, it might be a little bit easier to set up.
Yeah, and so that works great for like personality quiz, cosmopolitan type of thing. Is like, oh, you have that many triangles, you're more this type of person. You have that many squares, you're this other type of person. It's a really bad example with the cosmopolitan, but when you do product recommendation, when you try to find what is the right segment for that user, like in which bucket do you put them, are they qualifying or not, that would be great. And so if we look, for example, I think we have a quick personality quiz here that tell you if you're an introvert, an extrovert, or what was the other thing? Extrovert, introvert, or ambivert. That was the other term. And what you could do, same thing in the logic, you can either implement the branching, what it does. This is, I think, the old-fashioned way of doing this, and you have more granularity and control over it, but we can remove it all. And instead go for the simple option here and do outcomes and say people will be tagged as extrovert if they like to go out, and say, oh, that's okay for that question. It's like, oops. And people that would be introvert, they'd be like, Rain, I don't want to go, and I don't want to talk to this coffee manager. Okay. And then ambivert, they would be let's go out and subtle. So, and I think with this we have all the options. And so now, depending on what you take, you get to see one of the ending or the other ending. So like here we did the extrovert path, and oops, no. And now if we take the introvert path, it'll be Rain and things. And so what we did is, like, instead of having to build the logic one by one for each question, we decided more like buckets. If people have answered this across the whole form, then they put in that bucket. Okay. That was an awesome question. Thank you, Annette, and hope that answered what you were trying to solve. All right, what other questions? What do we have? I don't know.
I know Des is asking if matrix logic recall is going to be available soon. I don't think so. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if you know anymore, Nico, but I don't know. I don't have a timeline or if that's in the works that I know of.
Yeah, I don't know either. Something we should look at for sure. I know matrix is yeah.
It's like, I feel like I asked recently, and I don't think it's not for any particular reason, just because they're working on some other stuff. But I could also be completely wrong about that, so I can double check. So I'll ask him.
Yes, we got another question from Brent regarding the Google Sheet and the Excel integrations. There might be some differences on the APIs and how it works in the backend. So that's why you can post to an existing sheet with Google and probably not with Excel. That's probably one of the reasons. I don't think we did it on purpose, but always something that we can look at and evaluate. So it's probably more what the platform is letting us do. And there was an interesting part regarding natural language understanding, if we were going to offer this in Typeform. And I don't think we have this at the moment, and it's pretty sure we don't have it in the product. For those of you that don't know what is natural language understanding, it would be if you're using Typeform to retrieve or get reviews about your restaurant, the experience that people have, you want to know easily if people are mad, angry, or if they talk about a specific topic, and depending on this, try to give them a different experience, or if you just want to analyze the result at the end. Something that is really nice is in VideoAsk, actually. So in VideoAsk, you have one of those questions where it's an open question. And so people can say anything about any type of things. And depending on what is the topic that is detected by the tool, you give them one experience or the other. And so that would be a good introduction question of like, hey, tell us, what do you want? And people will be like, my food was cold, never have arrived. Then you go to, okay, this is a support question. It's like, oh, I'm a restaurant owner. I wanna work with you for your delivery app, whatever. Then that's somebody else, and then you can put this type of logic. This is all dreams. I don't think we're there yet in the respondent experience for customers, like for people that answer your forms. But if you want to do this afterwards and run natural language processing, segmentation, tagging on the result that you have collected, there are different tools that do this. One that you can integrate through Zapier, it's called Prod Site, and they help you specifically with everything that's around review and evaluating if people are happy, or if they're angry, and then putting into different categories. That's one has we've seen some customers are using it with Typeform through Zapier. It doesn't have a direct integration yet, but you can also use IBM. You can use like many other solutions. Awesome. What are the other things that we have in the comments, Lise? What have you seen?
I was asking a smarter way to ask people to submit like 20 photos with captions. Our file upload field only allows one file at a time, but what I've seen people do is use the URL question and just have people submit a URL with like a Google Drive link or whatever other service they use. That tends to be the easiest and also doesn't bog down the form submission too. Like won't take, like, if they got 5 million images, it's a lot quicker with the URL.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. That means that the users, the respondents, have their pictures available as a link. I think there's probably other ways where you can make a generic upload form. And so you have a form where you ask all your questions, and then you have a form that's a part that has all your, just upload upload the image and the caption, and maybe try to link it together. So through hidden fields, you will know that this picture that has been uploaded comes from someone that has answered before, and that's their email, and so you can get everything together. That could be one way as well of building this up. But yeah, this is one known limitation on our current file upload question, where it's only one file at a time. So thanks for your question. Another question we had from Jao, who worked at Typeform. I thought he's like who. So he's looking for someone that works at Typeform and live in Brazil. Through the 300 something employees that we have, I'm sure that exists. I know we have a few Brazilians, but I don't know if they live in Brazil. But for sure, if you're looking for someone that works with Typeform and that has an agency that offers services, that it's aware of Typeform and that is based in Brazil, you can look at our agency listing. I don't know if we have any there, but let's take a look. So. And I would say the other suggestion is probably to look in the form and add this in the form, because with 6,000 and plus members, there's probably someone that fits what you're looking for. All right, so I can share here, and that works for anybody that is interested to find someone that's an expert in Typeform and that can help you with how to ask questions, how to make it look good, how to connect it with other tools. If you go to typeform.com/agencies, this is where you can find all the different partners, all the different companies that we work with and that have gone through the Typeform certification. So they're real experts on it, and you can help you with all your Typeform questions. I don't know if we have, yeah, there's a by language, yeah, Portuguese, actually Japanese. But there's a filter for Portuguese. Oh, I thought if we had that filter, we'll have a match. I'll double check if there's a match. There's probably a match, but it's not displayed. But otherwise, yeah, check the forums, and there are also other platforms. If you ask on freelancer.com, on Fiverr, this is also a place to find experts that can help you with all your questions. Yes, and so to answer cultural follow-up on his question on their question regarding the file upload, yes, using two separate type forms, that could be one way to make it easier. And so your upload form is only an upload form, and if you want to track it back to who is doing the upload, doing this through hidden fields. Okay, we're an hour. We're already a bit past our time. Let's see if we have any last question. I see a question from Brent that had a question regarding character limit for URL parameter in a hidden field. Any character limit, Liz, that you're aware of?
I am not. I feel like there is one that is the normal URL limit, but I don't remember what that number is. It's pretty long though. It takes a lot of characters.
Yeah, so we're only limited by what the browser limits us and what is the norm of accepting a long string. So I think it's something like 3,000 characters or more. And so you can add as many hidden fields as you want and put as long as you want the values. I think there is a I think it's the limitation is probably more on the browsers and what you do and where you send this. I think you had also a question regarding connecting it to the Google spreadsheet. So it's probably a limitation on their side more than a limitation on our side. But if you use these type of things, and if it's a question about how the limitation of a specific question type on Typeform, I guess we will have to dig and find if we limit that. Cool. All right. I think that's it for our summer edition of Office Hours. We're still trying to improve that format. Let us know how you want this to be. What are the different questions? I see a last suggestion that's really cool. Mailcare is suggesting that we have an audio reward every time you complete a question. We'll push that to the team, but it could be a lot of bells and a lot of sound and music, and because some forms are long and some forms take not too long to fill, but that's a lot of questions. So something to have in mind. But yes, so if you want to continue this conversation, we are on community.typeform.com for all your questions about how to use Typeform, how to hack it, how to add more functionalities to it, how to connect it with other tools. Liz is spending her days there. She's the life. There. She's the life of the forum with many other of you there. And yes, we have more shows coming. So the webinars, as we mentioned, we have this. We have Hacking Together that's coming back in September with other live coding exercises, Workspace invaders. Follow all those things. And we're going to try to produce more content. And if you want to rewatch this is going to be available on LinkedIn later forever, I guess. And then it's on our YouTube channel. So all your comments and all the questions that you ask and all the controversy questions about pineapple on pizza are now recorded and will be on YouTube. Thanks again for having us, and see you next time.